Okay, so I'm going to be discussing some of the matters of the class, and so this is sort of the de facto introductory video for the EDU 200 course. So this is where I lay out a lot of the basics in this video, and then throughout the rest of the semester I'll be posting a video every now and again. And so you'll just have to forgive my webcam for trying to track me. So anyway, the first thing that you need to know is about your placements, and so we will be working to place you based on the information you gave us when you first registered for the class. And so that will be, usually we try to get the placements done within the first month of the semester. Remember that you need to complete 40 hours and 60 if you're going to Mary Baldwin. Everywhere else is 40 hours. Mary Baldwin is 60 because they have different requirements. Along those same lines, when you go to the Blackboard website and you take a look under course documents, you should find, or assignments, you should find a handbook that you will provide to your teacher and that I will also email your teacher. In that handbook, which is a PDF file, you'll find the log sheet for your hours. You must use that log sheet in order for it to count. Along those same lines, with that log sheet on the right-hand side where your teacher signs, it should be consistent. In other words, it should be the same signature from the same teacher in almost any circumstance. Now, of course, every now and again you'll have a sub on that day, and that's perfectly fine. But a majority of those signatures should be from those same teachers. So, in other words, you may get placed with a teacher, and that teacher will say, oh, well, you know, today I'm not doing much, so why don't you go to Mr. Smith's classroom? And then you can do that, but you need to come back to that teacher and have them sign you back out. They're sort of your boss, okay? Along those same lines, one other thing I need to note is every semester it seems like I have one or two teachers that contact me and bring up matters regarding the students' dress code. Remember that wherever you go, okay, whatever school you end up in, you're responsible for knowing and being a participant in that school's handbook and their rules and regulations. So dress conservatively. If you're not sure, if you're looking in the mirror and you say, I don't know if this is going to work, it's probably not. So this semester I hope to have, the very first semester, where I have no students that are violating the school's dress code. Whatever the teacher says, from my perspective, goes. So if the teacher says you're not doing your work, or if the teacher says that you're not dressing appropriately, I will believe them. Okay, so make sure that you're following all the rules and that you're doing what they are saying. Now, along those lines, this practicum is based on 40 or 60 hours, and within that time frame, your primary goal is observation, to sit in the back of the room and take a look at different things. Okay. Now later on I will have videos for particular assignments, but you'll see that many of those assignments will be based on you watching and learning and trying to say, well, why is the teacher doing that? Why is the student acting that way? And so on. But part of your evaluation is also based on, but is not required, that you participate in some way in the class. And you'll find that a lot of teachers, if they feel comfortable with you, will ask you to lead a small group or do one-on-one tutoring or to teach a lesson, to take over for a sub while the sub is there, those sorts of things. And that's good. That means that the teacher trusts you and they think that you can do a good job. So a part of your evaluation will be that, but that part is not a requirement. The very basics is observation. Now, I've had students in the past that felt that they can go into the back of the classroom and do schoolwork for other classes. The teacher knows that, okay, and they will tell me that. And so make sure that you're there, that you're watching, that you're sort of participating in the class. So if a student is raising their hand and the teacher doesn't look like they've seen them, see if you can interact with them. So on the first time that you meet your cooperating teacher, you really need to sit down with them and think about, you know, what are the ground rules for when I should interact with a student. You know, some teachers will say, go for it. You know, if you see a hand raised, jump right in there. Other teachers will say, let me see if I can handle it. If a hand is raised, point them out to me or something like that. So it's up to you in those first couple of weeks, those first couple of sessions, to work with your teacher and try to figure out where everyone is most comfortable. Okay, I never really involved myself in that process and what's going on in the individual classrooms unless there's a major problem. So let's not have me get involved. Along those same lines, You will find that teachers will have you doing a variety of things or ask you to do a variety of things, and they're all fair games. So filing things, grading things, hanging up bulletin boards. When I first started teaching and doing practicum hours, I became a bulletin board expert. I could take one down and put one up in like 5 minutes flat. So those are all sort of the mundane things that you'll be asked to do most likely, and that's perfectly fine. Now, I do encourage you to ask your teacher, and when I email your teachers, I will say this as well. I want you to get what I call a 360-degree view of teaching. What happens is a lot of students will show up and they'll be there for an hour and then they'll go home. Okay? What I want you to do is try to set aside a good block of time. That's 2 or 3 hours that you can go and sort of get used to the flow of the class, the changes in the schedule, those sorts of things. But also, you should ask your teacher if you can sit in on faculty meetings. You should ask your teacher if you could go with them to lunch if they sit in the lounge. You should ask your teacher to sit in on IEP meetings, those sorts of things. And of course, once you get permission, that's actually kind of good, because those are the things that happen behind the scenes that I found a lot of people, I don't know a good way of putting it, don't enjoy, I guess would be a way of putting it. But they are things that you do as a teacher that will encompass a significant amount of your time, more than half by far, okay? And what I don't want you to do is go into the classroom environment when you get your degree and say, hey, now I can teach, I can do all these great things, and so on and so forth, and then be absolutely flabbergasted when you're there almost every day from 3 until 5, okay, working on faculty meetings, sending emails, responding to parents, parent meetings, parent-teacher conferences, all those sorts of things, IEP meetings. So that's a significant portion of what it is now to be a teacher, and I would like you to go ahead and pursue that. Along the way, you'll start putting together a portfolio as well. That will be how I judge your performance at the end of the semester. The portfolio, you will find the table of contents for that portfolio under course documents or assignments. I can't remember which one, but you'll find it in there. And just follow that table of contents and make your portfolio look neat. Everything should be at least an APA or MLA style, Times New Roman 12, double spaced, those sorts of things. And then there should be dividers. The only thing that really could be handwritten is the minute by minute field notes, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a separate video. But that's your final product at the end of the semester. Your portfolio that has everything in it that you've done this entire class, and that's what your grade is, essentially. And so when you take a look at the syllabus and you look at that and you understand that, you will find that a significant amount of your grade is tied up in all of the stuff that's in the portfolio. Later on, you'll be doing little presentations to upload videos to Blackboard. That's in the last few weeks of the semester. But I open up those threads really early, so I encourage you to keep a good pace. I have a suggested schedule for you on the syllabus tab. A lot of students last semester, that was the first semester where I didn't have a weekly date for quiz grades to be done. I had a significant number of students. If the quiz was, all 50 quizzes were due on November 11th, they didn't start taking them until November 9th, okay? And so as a result, their grades weren't that great. So I put up a suggested schedule. I encourage you to follow that. But of course, your top priority at this moment will be, once you get your placement, to go ahead and contact your teacher within 48 hours, set up some times, meet with them, meet with the teacher, get to know the dress code of the school, get to know the rules of the school, get to know the teacher and what they want out of you, and those sorts of things as well. So that's mission number 1. Now, you may not get your placement. I'll send you an email. You may not get your placement for 3 or 4 weeks. It's not a crisis at that point in time. Once we get to 5 or 6 weeks, then it becomes a little bit more of a crisis. But just kind of hang in there. I know a lot of students will keep sending me emails, have you got my placement, blah, blah, blah. But you will know when you get your placement. I usually try to let you know within a half an hour or an hour after I find out on the weekdays. And so remember, once you get that information, it's up to you within 48 hours to contact your teacher. If you don't contact them within 48 hours, then they may say, no, I don't want this person. And it's really hard to find placement cooperating teachers when we're competing with Blue Ridge, ODU, JMU, EMU, et cetera, et cetera. So once you get a position, go for it. Okay, so that's just a brief thing, just a brief introduction about your placement and the expectations of that placement. I know it's about 10 minutes long now, but compared to listening to me for an hour and a half in a regular class. That's actually a good deal. So again, throughout the semester, I'll be posting videos on various assignments where you may have questions. If you do have questions, though, feel free to ask. Check out the syllabus, check out the suggested schedule. Let me know if you have any questions about particular assignments or something like that. And if you do, that will, if I see like 5 or 6 people asking, like, what's this assignment about, that'll tell me that I need to put a video up about it. But for now, just kind of start doing your work. In the meantime, while you're not getting your placements, there's a really good chance to get ahead on the quizzes and the journals and start putting together your portfolio. So otherwise, I will see you again in another video.